Hi everyone, thank you for tuning into the Broadway Buzz podcast, your go-to podcast for everything drama, gossip, and rumors in the Broadway community. I'm Pierce Ream, the host and creator, and I'd like to note that our new posting schedule will be every second and fourth Friday of the month. I know I took a small break, but I'm back now and I'm ready to put out some more episodes for you guys. I will note that you guys should follow us on Instagram at Broadway Buzz Podcast. I post almost every day. You can send me a DM with any gossip or tea that you know about, and I will be sure to make note of it. So, in today's episode, we'll be discussing the Maybe Happy Endings controversial decision to cast Andrew Barth Feldman as the lead, replacing Darren Criss for 9 weeks, the backlash that the show is facing, as well as the actors, and the people who are standing behind both Helen and Andrew in solidarity. Then we'll dive into Billy Porter's take on the MC in Cabaret and the response that he's been receiving from the audiences. I've heard only one good thing about him, and that was during his run in London. I know I said before that Timothée Chalamet was rumored to be playing Dr. Frankenfurter in the Off-Broadway run at the Roundabout Theater next year, but I now hear that the role will be played by our Mrs. Mary Todd Lincoln, Cole Escola. And finally, we will be discussing Cynthia Erivo's take on Jesus and Jesus Christ Superstar, what fans are saying, and what angry white Christians have been trying to say for years. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, Maybe Happy Ending has a cast on Broadway of 4 people. All 4 of these actors are Asian actors, which was a huge milestone for the Asian community, because just for an Asian person to be on Broadway is a huge step, because within the theater community, not even just in Broadway, within the theater community itself, Asian people have not always been represented the way that they should be in the world. So, with Maybe Happy Ending being such a huge milestone, winning the Tony for Best New Musical, and the Darren Criss winning the Tony for Best Leading Actor in a Musical, this was a huge milestone for the Asian community. I even have here the co-creator of the show, Hugh Park. He said in an interview, "It's exciting to have more variety on Broadway. I hope Maybe a Happy Ending can contribute to that." Darren Criss in 2024 said, "This production happens to celebrate and represent Asianness to a really fun degree." In 2025, he said, "The AAPI community in the arts is a smaller, if not marginalized group. I hope this show can continue that legacy and be an inspiring call to action in other artistic spheres." So, now that we have a base of what the show is really about, I'm going to discuss Andrew Barth Feldman, who is a white young boy in his 20s, who is dating the lead of the show, Helen J. Shen, who is a very talented actress. I actually met her last year. She was extremely sweet. I don't have anything bad to say about her. But I also met Andrew last year. They both were sweet. But Andrew should not be taking this role. The notice, even for the role, the understudy notice for the role, it states, character is male, 20s to 30s, Asian, boyish and innocent appearance. So he has almost everything going for him except for that one thing, which is kind of a huge key factor in the show, Asian. The show is being trailed because of its how progressive it is, but now we have kind of going backwards. It's not right. And I know I'm just a white boy, so obviously I don't have much to say about it. I don't have much of a standing because I don't need to talk about it. Asian people need to have more of a talking point about it. So I'm going to read some comments on Instagram from the post where Will Aronson and Hugh Park made a letter addressing the casting of Andrew Barth Feldman. Check it out on Instagram if you haven't. It's 4 pages long. Someone commented, his name is Jumin Huang on Instagram, JOOMINHWANG. He said, absolutely, anyone can play a robot, and yes, opportunities should go to the most talented person in the room. But there's a deeper, more painful nuance here. If this show hadn't been marketed heavily as such a win for AAPI representation, I don't think people would feel this level of disappointment or heartbreak. We truly believed we had won. Finally, a moment for us. Still, majority AAPI talents carrying the show, I love that part. But it's giving that leading role in this AAPI heavily infused storytelling cannot be led by Asian men because it's universal. Asians can do all the understudies in playing other roles but the leading man. It's micro, but I feel specific feeling which it hits close to a long-standing trauma. It hurts. It makes us question whether history is just repeating itself all over again in 2025. If the production believes this is the best decision for them, no one can change that, but people will still be sad and disappointed. Someone said, I mean, Andrew Barth Feldman is only doing it for 8 weeks, and he's the real-life boyfriend of Helen. I think it'll make an interesting dynamic. Calm down. I should mention it's the white guy. A standby for the show said, Hi, it's me, a standby. I fear the online discourse has lost the plot. In trying to highlight a larger issue, it is inadvertently undermining the very thing that we want to hold dear and preserve for opportunities for all of us. I really can't help that I'm Asian. I can't help that I'm here. But the vilification that has dominated these conversations has to be redirected to the larger systemic issues that exist throughout the entirety of our industry, not at the expense of the real artists and real people working in the building to help tell this story. Unless we want to present opportunity to evaporate, we need to start coming to the table in good faith. Someone said, not you defending them after they hit us with they were cast because they were the best actor in the role, knowing how much of a loaded phrase that is. And that comment has 200 likes. Someone said, excuse me, for a show who benefited from the overwhelming community of the AAPI community. Oh, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. For a show who benefited from the overwhelming support of the AAPI community, who finally saw representation in both story and cast, it is really strange to now suddenly announce the roles were never meant to represent Asian performers in the first place. So obviously it seems that the backlash is not good. It seems not many people are enjoying the idea of Andrew Barth Feldman in that role. But now let's discuss Darren Criss's point in this, because Darren Criss is a producer for the show, meaning he had a say in who was going to be cast as the Oliver while he takes the break. And that's right. Andrew is only going to be replacing Darren for 9 weeks, and then Darren will be back. But will the show even survive with Andrew playing Oliver? I'm not sure. Like I said, Darren had a say in casting Andrew. I'm not sure why or what he was thinking. If Andrew were to want to back out of this, he would have to get the permission of the writers/producers. He would have to need the team of Maybe Happy Ending to sign off on him being taken out. So it's not even his entire choice because he's in a contract. But I look forward to seeing how this plays out. I don't look forward to seeing the downfall of the show, though. But I do look forward to seeing how the Broadway community reacts to this entire thing. Okay, now I will not say much about Billy Porter's take as the MC in Cabaret, as I have not seen him in the show. But I will say that Billy and Marsha Wallace are making history as the first black MC in Sally Bowles on Broadway ever, which is a huge milestone in itself. But the role of the MC is to portray the views and the status of Berlin during the Holocaust times. And Billy Porter himself said in an interview that he personally is going to be changing his MC and making his MC more from a Jim Crow perspective, meaning that his character escaped slavery in America thinking he was going to be free in Germany, and then he realizes that he's a part of the Holocaust now, which is not the exact point of the story, but I will say people have said that he drops the accent, the German accent, 10 minutes into the show, which doesn't really make sense. People are saying that Billy is only going to show off his voice. He's only going to be in the show because he wants to show off his voice, rather than truly to tell the importance of the story and reflect the original source material, which is not very good, because we need to be telling this story. And I heard that the show may be closing before Labor Day because the sales are doing so bad right now. I know they announced a October closing, but because sales are doing so bad, they may close even earlier. Last week was the worst in ticket sales for Cabaret, and this week is the worst even more than that. So it's just going on a downward hill. So we'll see. I'm not going to continuously bash something I haven't seen. I have tickets for the show September 19th, so we'll see if I go and see it. It will be interesting. I do look forward to seeing Billy. Maybe an understudy would be even better for me. I don't know. Hey, I'll see whatever. I heard Marsha Wallace is worth seeing her in herself. So yeah, if you guys have any takes on Billy, go ahead and go over my Instagram and comment, because I really want to hear what you guys think about Billy Porter taking on the role of the MC. I kind of wish I could have seen Orville Peck or Adam Lambert, but hey, you can't always get what you want. Hey, I'm excited to see the show, period. We have table seats, so I'm really excited. Alright, and our final talking point for this episode is going to be Cynthia Erivo, where she played Jesus Christ in the recent Hollywood production, the Hollywood Bowl production in Jesus Christ Superstar. She's obviously an amazing performer, so she was obviously amazing as Jesus. I even showed TikTok clips to my grandma, who had seen Ted Neely as Jesus in the original tour in the 70s. But of course there's a group of people who don't like things, and as there is in every single part of the world. I saw so many comments on Playbill posts saying, God cannot be mocked, unbelievable, blasphemy, God will not be mocked, repent, blasphemous show, heartbreaking. Conservative Christians have always had an issue with the show since its 1970 debut. They say that the show depicts Jesus as human and vulnerable, not as divine. They say that Judas is given too much sympathy, and they don't like how his perspective gets further explored. And they are so against how it ends with a crucifixion and not the resurrection, which they all say is sacrilegious because they want to see him rise. I'll say people being upset over Cynthia taking the role, they shouldn't be. It's literally just an artistic interpretation of a book. There's no need to stop being a fan of hers. Now, we could talk about that tweet that she made back in 2013, where she insulted African Americans by saying ghetto American accents in reference to Black American voices. But she likes some of my Instagram posts on Broadway Buzz, and I like her, so I don't want to have beef with that queen. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about Cynthia in Jesus Christ Superstar. And that's a wrap on this week's episode of Broadway Buzz. If you got thoughts, takes, or just want to vent about anything I said on this episode, hit me up on Instagram and tag the show wherever you're listening. I love hearing what you guys think, especially when we don't agree. Make sure to follow, rate, and share the podcast if you're loving all the drama.